When you say something about fear of relationships, I feel like part of me wants a partner in life, but another part is scared to get involved with anyone. I'm not sure if it's due to past failed relationships or fear of feeling trapped. I feel I'm too young, almost 40, to just avoid relationships altogether, but not sure how to overcome the fear. Thank you. Yeah. I think, so this is a human question, like how can you as a human have better relationships? On the ultimate level, there is no relationship. On the ultimate level, you can only love someone here. So two people can't love each other because they don't actually exist. So everything you see as your partner is only what you see in that moment. Your partner is actually endlessly changing and evolving. So your partner is always expanding on their ideas, their belief systems. It's not your partner doesn't have a solid person inside of them. They're whatever comes out of them in that moment, and that's such a celebration. And they're not somebody that's looking back at you. They're apparently somebody that's looking back at you, so you can say to them, why didn't you do the cleaning up today? Or, like, she's 46 years old. She loves dogs. You can say that, but that's not actually somebody looking out the eyes. Who's looking out of the eyes is this moment, and that's true love. You can only love someone here. In time, you love something that's endlessly changing. And that's what most people do. They have this contraction, this feeling of who they are, and that feeling always comes with a seeking energy, like a feeling of incomplete, a solidness, like this incompletion. Because solidness means limitation, and that's not your essence. So that's why it always feels incomplete and like it's seeking. And that seeking energy is always trying to get a feeling from your partner, trying to get something, an experience from your partner. And this is where hate begins. You go into conflict because you believe your partner can give you love, but love can only come from this moment. But that solidness feels uncomfortable and looks for love in the other person, and then it becomes like a lot of conflict because they can't give it to you and you can't give them love. So on the absolute level, you have to really see that there is no relationship, that who you're always speaking to is yourself. Who's speaking is the same as who's looking, as who's hearing. So when you speak to them, you're not actually speaking to a solid entity, it's that infinite space that's listening. And when they speak, it's that infinite space that's speaking, and that's love. And that's the only place you can love someone. Emotions change. So if like they give you feelings of excitement and you enjoy that excitement, that's going to change into anger and annoyance another moment, and to sadness and to joy, pity. It's going to turn into all these things. But deeper than that, there is this love, this expandedness. And that's, so to me, to be in true relationship is to be in no relationship. So to truly love your partner is to be in no relationship. Now, gurus, Pabian gurus, will try and teach you that there is no relationship, therefore you can do all these things to each other and you don't have to do this and you don't have to do that. But then on the human level, there is an apparent relationship which can have contract, which can have roles. So on the human level, these two bodies need to get on. They need to have a similar outlook on life, obviously. They need to agree on certain things. And there needs to be fundamentally, on the human level, trust. I think this is huge when in relationship on the human level, that two bodies trust each other. It's the same with if you have an animal, like trusting your dog and your dog trusting you, or your child. So your ultimate love is this moment, is seeing beyond all of that. But then on the human level, trust is fundamental. Now, a lot of us are damaged by trust because we've given our trust away. So you've got different types of people. You've got people that are only focused and fixated on what they want, and they don't have empathy and conscientiousness. And to them, trust is irrelevant. This is irrelevant to those types of people. I will talk about those types of people because they don't mean to be excluded or talked as the bad people. But these people do have big possibility to do lots of bad things. You've got to recognize if you're only fixated on what you want and you're not concerned about other people's feelings or conscientiousness, like what's good for the group. But we'll talk about those in a moment. So if you have more empathy and conscientiousness, then you might have lost trust in humans because you've put too much trust in somebody where trust is irrelevant. So often these two types of people meet up. People that only are focused on what they want, and then people that have lots of empathy and conscientiousness. And the reason that these people like these people is because these people are easily manipulated. So if you've got a lot of empathy, you're easily manipulated because you'll feel sorry for other people. So you'll feel sorry for this one that's only fixated on what they want. So so a lot of people do have trust issues in our society because if you do have empathy and sensitive, which a lot of people that listen to these talks I'm sure are, then you have been talked out of what you feel, what you intuitively feel. When you intuitively feel something's wrong, you're talked out of it. When you intuitively feel you should help someone, you're talked out of it. You watch people being unfair or cruel to each other, and it hurts your heart and you don't understand what trust is. It is possible to intuitively meet someone and know you can trust them. I never used to know that you could trust, like have that feeling. Like if somebody's high in empathy and conscientiousness, they're very trustworthy, and you can have a feeling and you can feel when they're trustworthy. But when you've been traumatized, then you're in high stories and blame, and maybe it's impossible, but deep down you can feel it, and it's really beautiful to meet somebody that is. But there's also people out there that you really can't trust, and that's not because of past traumas or anything. And the way you know if somebody's not trustworthy is you focus in and see if they have empathy, and then you focus on and see if they're only ever focused on what they want and what they can get out of the situation. And these people aren't trustworthy. These people will do anything to get what they want, anything. And these people aren't bad people, but if they can, which they most likely can't, but to recognize that this is the way they are, and to try to be as honest in that as they can. And through that honesty, they can begin to be bringing balance in that type of personality structure. But that's very difficult because it doesn't benefit them to be honest often. So if they're only focused on what they want, it doesn't benefit them to be honest. But being honest is the best thing that those personality structures could do for themselves. And those personality structures, in a way, have to be taught about themselves, to understand themselves. So trust to me is a fundamental on the human level for relationships. I never used to value that much, partly because of being with gurus and teachers and teachings that dismissed it too much. If you do have trust issues and you are afraid of these types of things, or you've got all these types of dynamics that go on in relationships, so jealousy or fear or trust issues or fear of being abandoned, you have to get to know yourself. You have to get to know these conditions and where they come from and see it. And honesty is the best cure. So being honest with yourself and then being honest with the other, and not trying to use your honesty in order to manipulate others to get what you want. You see that really truly what you want is no inside or outside world, and in order to not have an inside or outside world, you have to be 100% yourself, which is totally and utterly honest. Notice that I said not using your honesty to order to manipulate. So just going into deep down your truth. Often we're using our words and we're using what we think and feel to manipulate the other to get what we want, to get safety. And this is where seeking comes in, like working out what seeking is, like to get safety, to like just being honest sometimes is about getting safety or getting the other to be honest, getting security, getting power. And there's an honesty deeper than all of that, where there's just this authentic being like a child. And it still has desires, so it still might want to get on and to be loved and to have intimacy. But these feelings are expansive and they're not from a place of taking, they're from a place of giving. They're really genuine. I know it sounds confusing what I'm saying. I'm just trying to point to something really deep and beautiful here. But it might sound confusing, like you don't know how to do it. So let me step through it. So say like a relationship issue is that you might get annoyed with your partner. Oh, so say, let's take yours. So you're scared of being intimate with someone in case of being hurt. So scared of intimacy can often be somebody that never commits to anything. This is such a big avoidance of intimacy. If you never commit to anything, then you can't grow and expand together. You're always pulling away. So non-committal. So what might happen in a relationship as soon as the other person in some way asks you for some form of commitment to the future, so say going on holiday in 3 months' time together and booking a holiday, there is a big fear of that arises, and to you that fear is true, and maybe you feel like the other one's being too needy or something. Now what you'll feel is you'll feel the tightness in your body first of all, and then your thoughts will begin to repetitively think about it. So you know that that's a dishonesty, that there's something deeper than that. If you got to the absolute truth and the honesty of what you felt, then your mind wouldn't keep repeating about it. So that's not true. That's the fear of commitment arising. So then you have to go deeper. So what makes you afraid about committing in the future? You feel like your freedom will be taken away. So you feel like this person has the possibility to take away your freedom. So you feel that, like tightness in your throat and in your chest. Or maybe you feel like you'll be made small, or you'll feel powerless, or you'll feel stuck. So you just go deep into those feelings of feeling stuck. And notice when you've had this in other relationships or other dynamics. Look at your childhood and see what happened in your childhood. And then go deeper into that feeling of feeling stuck, that they're going to take something from you, they're going to make you small, that they're going to cage you, and that if you're caged, you haven't got the possibility for a different type of happiness, that you can't do what you want, that you'll never be able to do what you want. You see, all of these are past thoughts or ideas that you've identified with, and then they get stuck in your body. And then you begin to ask yourself, well, what is it that you actually want with that person? And then you begin to see what you want is like intimacy and love. But you're afraid they're going to cage you and keep you small. And they will cage you and keep you small if that's what you fear. That's what you attract to yourself. But deep down you want love and intimacy. And so you've got to try and look at that holiday, not through these neurotic thought patterns, but through what you actually want, and see if it actually fits. Like, I want love and intimacy. And begin to imagine how that holiday creates love and intimacy and closeness. Like at the moment, the mind just projects negatively and something's being taken away. And none of it's true ultimately. Like in the moment, there's nothing, there's absolute freedom, but you see that all these idea patterns come up, and on the surface level it's dislike because they're trying to cage you. But deep down, what you want is to not feel stuck and not to feel caged. And they don't have the ability to do that to you. You only have the ability to do that to you. You only become caged through yourself. And if that's what you fear, that's what you'll attract to yourself, someone that cages you. So what is it you truly want from a relationship? I want someone to expand and grow with. And you let that positive vibration take over. I want someone to be intimate with. And then you think about booking the holiday. And then it will completely change your perspective on the holiday. What happens though when these things go unaddressed is that there will just be immense conflict. And then she'll begin to feel rejected, that you don't want to go on holiday with her. And then you'll feel like she's trapping you. And then you'll just get into all these conflict and these old patterns. It doesn't actually mean that you have to go on holiday, but say no to going on holiday with them from an expansive place, not from a contracted place. Like attracts like. So when you go there with fear of commitment and fear of being hurt, that's what you'll attract. So always say no from expansiveness. If you say no from the tightness, that's what you'll be bringing towards you. I want to cry out loud from happiness when I hear you speaking about the self. I work evenings at a hostel reception in Amsterdam, and I express my joy even if people see me here. Probably they think I'm nuts. Lots of love. Oh, nice beer. That's sweet.